as the man accused of killing Brandi Lee Davis awaited a pretrial hearing to determine whether he should remain held in the Taos County Jail until his case is resolved. Her family arrived Monday at her home in Talpa to gather her belongings. Jeremiah Rael, 31, was charged with first-degree murder and tampering with evidence after neighbors discovered Brandi Davis's body with a bullet wound to the head Thursday outside the home where the couple had lived in the tiny community near Ranchos de Taos. Now, Brenton Rael just went to jail, or just got convicted of throwing a woman over a bridge. So Brenton Rael, Jeremiah Rael, when did that damn Rael? So Rael, I'm not for sure what's going on there, if they're related, Jeremiah Rael or Brenton Rael. But let's take a look at Brandi. She's considered a beautiful soul. Brandi Lee Davis. And so Jeremiah Rael, he turned himself in later, so there's no threat. This is November, October. This is, a minute ago. Well, here's a picture of Brandi Lee Davis. So R.I.P. to Brandi Lee Davis, recalled as a beautiful soul. And the guy who killed her, which is in this article here, I'm just going to read this article, Taos News. He's like smiling and grinning like a damn fool. I don't know if that's his mugshot, Jeremiah Rael. Let's take a look at Jeremiah Rael after I read this article, but we'll search while. So her family arrived Monday at her home in Talpa to gather her belongings. Jeremiah Rael, 31, was charged with first-degree murder, tampering with evidence after neighbors had discovered Brandi Davis's body with a bullet wound to the head. They lived in the Ranchos de Taos. It's a tragic ending for the life of a woman friends described as an empath, so she empathized with others, and a beautiful soul, despite the series of heartaches she had endured since her father's violent death racked her childhood. Damn! So father got violently killed. She got violently killed. Davis's brother, Cauy Davis of Lindrith, said he and his nephew, Davis's son, Tristan Schultz, found her house on New Mexico 518 ransacked. 518. None of his things were there. Cauy Davis said of Rael, "There's no chase of him. It's kind of suspicious." Brandi Davis, 44, mother of 3, was shot less than 4 months after Rael was arrested on suspicion of strangling her in the parking lot of the OK Hotel Casino north of Espanola. They thought that he had strangled at the OK Casino, the OK OHKAY, which is a Pueblo. They used to be named some Pueblo native. The charges were later dismissed. Both Davis and Schultz said that they were aware of domestic violence allegations against Rael before Brandi Davis's death, and believed she had requested the battery charges be dropped in July so she could remain close to Rael's 7-year-old son. "We came and moved her out that day. She was terrified of him." Her brother said she really loved this guy's boy. She was deeply involved with this kid. She wanted to remain close to the child. Pictures posted on social media depict Brandi Davis and Rael with his son at birthday parties and football games, dressed in the regalia of the Green Bay Packers and Minnesota Vikings. The photos tell the stories of opening presents on Christmas Day, making arts and crafts on Easter, the excitement of the boys' first day back to school, fishing trips, nights spent eating out, and a Super Bowl party with a table laden with food. Davis said his sister loved to ride horses, hunt big game. Friends said she was an avid skier, loved challenging ski courses, hiking in the mountains, being in nature. But Brandi Davis's life, they said, was riddled with violence and heartbreak. In 1990, her father, Freeman Davis, was also killed by a bullet to the head. The Lindrith rancher and his wife, Georgie Davis, had gone to investigate potential poachers on their land when they encountered Edwin Arrieta, who was later convicted of fatally shooting Freeman Davis. Wow, Freeman Davis? Her father's name is Freeman? I like that name. Huey Freeman. Is he African American? Brandi Davis was 13 at the time, the eldest of 3 children. Arrieta, who has since died, was in prison for 7 years. He was charged with a multitude of violent crimes after his release. It traumatized my sister. I watched it firsthand with my own eyes. Davis said, my sister went into shock when my dad was murdered. She's never the same again. It seems like her growing up without a dad took a worse toll than it did on me and my brother. It just seemed like that little girl needed her daddy. Brandi Davis would go on to marry John Schultz of Lindrith at 17. She divorced him and later married his brother, Aaron Schultz. The couple began practicing as Jehovah's Witnesses and had a son and 2 daughters. Here's Jeremiah Rael. So I don't know if that's his mug shot or if that's just like a picture from his Facebook, because that just seems like an inappropriate way to get. I mean, I guess, I don't know, if you're about to get your picture taken and you've always just kind of instinctually just kind of. Davis's son, when he and his sisters Carrie Ann Schultz, Lily Holt became adults, they decided to sever their relationship with their mother because of her separation from the church. The last time I lived with her, I was 15 or 14, said Tristan Schultz, who's now 26. It's very difficult, and anytime I think about it, it fills me with a lot of regret. I think about the time we missed out on because his father's parents were Jehovah's Witnesses. He said his mother felt she needed to be baptized to create a sense of family. I think she rushed into it. And didn't think about it in that regard, Tristan Schultz said. We're taught not to have too much contact with those who are disfellowshipped, to keep the congregation clean and give people motivation to come back and make things right. But Brandi Davis never returned to the church. 7 years after she divorced Aaron Schultz, she moved to Taos and married Carl Stewart, a local musician. We met and I fell in love. Stewart says she was a beautiful woman, and when she was happy, the angels sung and the world was a beautiful place. When she would flip to her dark side, hell hath no fury. Stewart said Davis was haunted by the loss of her children. The edicts of the church prevented her from speaking to them, he said. That was one of her deepest wounds. It kept her up at night, her inability to communicate with them on any level. That makes me think of William Glasser. William Glasser says nobody's crazy. Nobody's insane. 95% of what seems to be crazy behavior is a person's inability to communicate with those that they love. And so she does seem like a beautiful soul, but I'm sure, what the fuck? Mother, or, a fucking loving father got fucking killed. Her kids get taken away from her. It's like you're kind of ripping some of the closest bonds. She should be close to these people, but you're ripping. Stewart's description was a woman tormented by her past, unable to deal with the lingering trauma of losing her father. On the anniversary of Freeman Davis's death in November, Brandi Davis shared her feelings on social media. I can't believe I've had to live without your dear love and guidance for 3 decades, she wrote. I still miss you in my life every day. The emptiness and tragedy still reverberate constantly as I battle PTSD daily. And all that, though, I still try to love others and be upright and moral just like you instilled in me to the age of just 13. While Stewart alleged Brandi Davis had abused him, court records show he was apprehended January 26, 2021 and charged with aggravated battery in an incident that left her with a broken collarbone. Stewart said the injury was caused by Davis's own anger as she fell from a truck, and court records show the case was dismissed. You know what? It could be both ways. And then ultimately you only got one testimony, so what happened? The court is supposed to, presume innocence until proven guilty, but I think we should take the stance of the victim that she's killed and dead, so therefore it's probably foul play. I think they had some domestic stuff going on, but she was the one who was left with the broken bones. Her brother said friends described Brandi Davis as an effervescent and positive woman. Effervescent, that's a nice word. What exactly does effervescent mean? When we We immediately clicked, said Melanie Clifford Morales of Corpus Christi, Texas, who became friends with Davis 6 years ago. We're both fixers. We want to fix people. I felt like she was a bit of an empath as well. Morales said she last saw Davis April 27th when she visited Corpus Christi with Rael. The reunion ended with Davis accusing Rael of physically assaulting her. Morales said she said he had grabbed her around the neck and then someone called the police. Morales said the two talked while Rael cooled off in police custody. It always felt so good to be around her because she was always so calm. She had an aura around her, Morales said. She paid attention when you talked to her. I don't know how anyone couldn't love her. Sarah Clayton of Bloomfield said she met Davis 8 years ago when they were exotic dancers in Farmington. Davis, who danced under the name Justice, performed to pay her child support, Clayton said, and the two became fast friends. She was a little older than me, but what a wise and beautiful soul. Clayton said she could impact your heart. She was a beloved friend and a wonderful person. She had a little apartment on Orchard Street in Farmington. She was one of those people you never forget that would change your life forever in every way, give you a different perspective. Clayton said she became concerned when Davis canceled her second date with Rael and alleged he had thrown a cinder block into her car. Their second date. They had met online and started talking. She found out he lived a block away from her. It wasn't long before he moved in. He had been living with his mom. 6 months into it, she started talking about all the hell she was having with Jeremiah Rael and all the crazy things she'd been through leading up to this tragedy, Clayton said. She said they were going to try to work it out and make a life and forget about it. Tristan Schultz said his mother forgave his father and the two remained friends until his death last year. I'm feeling a lot of grief and a lot of guilt. He said, we loved our mom so much. Davis said he thinks their father's murder set the stage for his sister's failed relationships. I think without her father figure there, she needed that attention from a man, that void in her life. She didn't have a good masculine figure in her life, and then when you're with that man, then you're kind of, gambling, right? You're with him no matter what. You don't have another, a father or a person, a sanctuary to go to. That void in her life is something, but then some old school people's like, well, now you're married now. You can't ever come back here. I know. But, he pretty much owns you now. That's how She always had the hole in her heart. Words ring true in Brandi Davis's last letter to her father, the social media post in which she lamented his death. You put so much love and attention into me that even the last months of your life, you were fine-tuning me to be an excellent driver and sharp-shooting, safe hunter. We never got to finish our lessons, but I had to find closure in my heart and mind. Your love has kept me going, and the thought of seeing you again touches me so deeply. I hold it the closest to my heart of all hopes and wishes. Damn it. You hate to hear something like that. She wanted to be with her father, and then she got shot. And so historically, her father got shot in the head, she got shot in the head. Fuck. I'd like to agree. I'd like to think we all can agree on the common law. Don't pedophile, don't rape, don't steal, don't do violence, and don't murder. Don't murder. Those all seem like pretty strong, big fucking crimes. One person shouldn't do to another. Don't do violence, don't steal, don't pedophile, don't rape, and don't murder. Seems like it'd be easy. Seems like a common law. There's like 28 other laws somewhere. There's victims' rights. There's a 10-step criminal procedure, but this is New Mexico, so I don't know what their rules of evidence, and they got a constitution, so they got all the American. Goodness, I didn't think that was going to get to me. Let's read this. State Police, LADailyPost.com. Jeremiah Rael is charged with murdering girlfriend in Taos County. About 5 p.m. Thursday, September 29th, New Mexico State police officers were dispatched to New Mexico 518, house number 7051 in Talpa, New Mexico, where neighbors discovered a female who had been shot. Officers arrived on scene to find Brandi Davis, 44, deceased outside her home from an apparent gunshot wound. The New Mexico State Police Investigations Bureau was called to take over the investigation. Through Investigation agents learned there was a history of domestic violence at this house between Davis and her live-in boyfriend, Jeremiah Rael, 31. Neighbors reported hearing a gunshot at around 3 p.m. that afternoon. Rael, who initially fled the scene, turned himself in at around 9 p.m. to the New Mexico State Police Office in Taos. Rael was arrested and booked into the Taos County Detention Center and charged with an open count of murder and tampering with evidence. The case is being investigated by the New Mexico State Police Investigations Bureau with assistance from the New Mexico State Police Crime Scene Team. So RIP to Brandi Davis. Brandi Davis did seem like a nice person, and I mean, it sucks that these vulnerable, beautiful soul people kind of run into fucking shit. And anybody can be fucking angry, and then they could just take it too far, and both of them can't fucking... It's a pissing contest, and nobody's backing down. When ultimately, it's not about... You're not going to out-shitty the other person, out-mean the other person. You just want the other person to listen, to understand, for you all to get along, for you to go in the same direction. So I think I would have been perfect for Brandi Davis. But without a father, having the experiences that she had with all of it, you really had to be in tune with who you are and know a little bit of psychology when it comes to other people. This is written by Carol A. Clark, written October 1st, 2022. So this is just 2 months ago. It's just 2 months ago that this happened, and it happened in Taos County. And so, of course, you're not going to hear about any of this in Colorado. R.I.P. to Brandi Davis. It looks like she'll probably get some kind of justice, but sometimes people go with the person that's still alive. Jeremiah Rael is still alive, right? 31. And he might have some friends and families and co-workers and neighbors, whatever, that... I hope Brandi Davis gets justice. He's in jail. He killed her. That's life, right? He deserves at least life in jail. Maybe what? Parole after 25 years or something? Rest in peace, Brandi Davis. Rest in peace.